everybody, and welcome to the Maria Gonçalves podcast. I am your host, Maria Gonçalves, and today we have a special guest, Jennifer Rose. So, welcome, Jennifer Rose.
Thank you so much, Maria, for having me on your show. I so appreciate the invitation and very happy to be here with you.
I'm like so excited you said yes. So, I'm just going to let our listeners and viewers know a little bit more about you. So, Jennifer serves as an international spiritual evidential medium, a trance healer and channel, teacher, public speaker, transformational guide, writer, poet, and humanitarian. In addition to her one on one work with clients, she demonstrates mediumship for small groups and large audiences, spiritualist churches, and for charitable causes. Oh, I love that. Spreading the awareness that love and life are eternal. She is known for her accuracy, love, and compassion when connecting with spirit. Teaching mediumship, healing, and spirituality is also a passion of hers, helping others to discover and enhance their spiritual gifts and embrace their own unique ways of working. Her mission is to help remind others that we are all spirit too. So, did you guys hear that? We are all spirit too, and made from the absolute love that embodies us. Through the know-thyself journey, we continue to unfold our divine eternal connection. She also hosts for the Love of Spirit Sunday spiritual services, bringing the spiritual community together in celebration of spirit. And Jennifer is honored to be a part of the love, hope, healing, and peace that is gained through mediumship, healing, and spiritual development. And she also has her own show called Embracing Infinity. So thank you.
Thank you, Maria.
You are a busy person. So I wanted to talk about the online spiritual service because it's for the Love of Spirit and you offer that on Sunday. So if people want to watch it or participate in it, how do they go about doing that?
Yeah, thank you. So I started the service back in 2020, and because of COVID, we quickly all had to learn how to use Zoom, so it became an online service. But that enabled us to go international and be connected all across the globe, which was, that was a gift. And all people need to do if they want to come on is go to my website. So I've got it scheduled, and then people just sign up. They can make a donation or they can come for free, and that's it. And then they'll receive the link on the day of the service to join the Zoom. It's online every other Sunday at 10 a.m. Pacific and 6 p.m. in the UK as well. So, but it's my baby and I love it. And we all come together for love, and it's a beautiful experience. So we're always happy to have new people joining our little family.
Oh, I love that because I do love the spiritual services online, especially for those that you can't get to the place that you want to go, or transportation or distance is an issue for you, or maybe you don't even have a spiritual church in your area. This is a beautiful option for those that are interested. So, thank you. So, I wanted to ask, as a medium, have you always been a medium?
That's a good question. And I think everybody is a medium because we're all connected to spirit. We all come from spirit and we're not separate. But then there are some of us who are meant to do this as, work, as an occupation versus, having it just always be connected and whether you know it or not. I didn't really fully understand what a medium was until later in life, but I did know I was psychic. I did know I was intuitive. I did have some mediumistic experiences that I didn't quite have maybe a label for, but eventually I did figure that out and finally pursue the calling as my spirit finally started giving me the nudge. It was time to move forward with that too. So I can't say I was one of those mediums who was seeing spirits when I was 3 years old all the time. That wasn't me. And that's okay because that's lets other people know if they're interested in developing their mediumship that they don't have to have that happen to them to be a medium to do this work. So because everybody's journey is different.
I love how you said that because I will get that because I feel like I became a medium a lot later in life. And then there's always, oh, but you're not a real medium. It didn't happen to you when you were a kid. And it's like, no. I
Oh
will
my.
say, oh no, I will say, if I look back, there were mediumistic experiences, but I just didn't call them that, or I wasn't aware of them.
Yeah.
It was always a knowing as a kid, but I would like looking back, I wouldn't be like, oh, that I'm a medium, because I think it's like you say, I didn't see like spirit as a child, right? So yeah, it's like it depends on our definition inside our head, which I find so
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you. And maybe we did and we just don't remember it because we could have been babies or toddlers and, and see things and just not even remember that we did, because, and when those experiences happen, we're generally, the power of the spirit world is around you. It moves you to a bit of an altered state of awareness. And as we know, when we do mediumistic readings, we're in that space where we don't remember much afterwards. So like, so people go, oh, remember you gave me that reading and you told me this and that, and I have to explain, oh, I'm in that space where we're not holding on to a lot of memories. So fill me in a little bit, it'll come back to me. you
Or
know?
I don't remember. I'm sure it was very good. But
Well,
they
yeah, it's in that space where it comes in and leaves out, very much like when you're with trance mediums. Most trance mediums, after they've channeled, they won't remember barely anything because it's a different space of the brain and the mind working, so that memory really isn't like collected or held on too much. Kind of like a dream, like you forget a dream.
yeah. So I am curious because you're an evidential medium and a trance healer. How did you get into trance healing?
Um, I definitely felt called towards healing, and I was, told I had healing abilities when I was developing. And so, as because I was new and very eager, and I kind of went through spirit boot camp, I put myself like, oh, let's take as many classes as we can, which is what a lot of people do. They go to the buffet of classes and just start taking everything because they're so curious. And so when I was told I had healing abilities, I decided to kind of investigate that and pursue that. So I started with Reiki, doing all the levels of that, and went above and beyond as that as well. But because I was so interested in all kinds of mediumship, mental mediumship, physical mediumship, trance mediumship, it all just called to me when there was opportunities to develop trance healing. I kind of jumped on that, and it's very easy. All you have to do is move into the power and let spirit come and blend with you and influence you, and you don't have to do anything. They'll do it all for you. And what's beautiful, couple things, is they can move your hands and it feels like loving champagne bubbles or something. It's very gentle, graceful approach that they could move your hands if they needed to. You wouldn't have to do it. You wouldn't have to figure out where to go or what to do. And it's, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful when that happens. People cry when it first happens. They just cry
Yeah.
because of the love and the magic and the amazement of it all. And then the second benefit is that it teaches you to move into that passive receptivity with mediumship. So as you know, when we're developing, we keep trying to look for it. We keep trying to go get the information when we're first developing. And the more we learn to be that passive channel and let them, the spirit world and our loved ones, spirit people, bring that information to us, and it just kind of flows through us and we're just giving what we're getting, that passive state of awareness really helps to develop your mental mediumship as well. So win-win all around. And doing healing also is such a giving space to be in. It's good for the medium, it's good for the receiver. It helps us to spiritualize ourselves. And I do feel like spirit wants to give back to you. If you're willing to put that time in to give people healing as well, they will, help give back to you as far as development. And it's also just a place where you're in the power. So you're becoming more attuned as you go as well. So it's got multiple benefits as well. And healing such a beautiful gift. So all modalities are healing. They're all just kind of like different colors of the same rainbow. I've just settled on spiritual healing or trance healing because it's kind of what works for me and what I feel called to the most. And it's just blending with spirit, and letting them use you as a channel. And it's easy.
I love how you said it. It's like a rainbow. I'm like, oh, I want
Yeah.
to be in the rainbow. So when you do healing, because I am curious, because I learned Reiki. So being a Reiki master, I don't practice it anymore, but I've learned to do that. And I used to have my own business with that. Uh, with trance healing, do you feel like when you're doing a healing, do you feel extra spirits in the room or how does that work? I'm just curious.
Yeah, and a lot of people who start out with Reiki, as I did, it's not uncommon eventually for them to start like letting go of the symbols and just, intending the symbols, because the symbols help to give you structure. They help to make you feel like you're doing it right, so you're learning to trust yourself as a healer, to trust yourself as a channel for spirit, right? And they're all about setting intentions, but the power was never in the symbols. The power was in the healing and the spirit. The symbols are great for setting intention with that, but if we put the power in the symbols, we're putting it outside of ourselves, if that makes sense. And so it's the combination, it's the partnership with it that's so beautiful. And Reiki's been such a gift because it came to the Western world and gave people who had had little experience with healing kind of permission to explore that part of themselves, to where it could become, accepted more in the mainstream, if that makes sense too. And so with trance healing, I'm trying to go back to your question because I got off on a little tangent there.
That's okay. I was
um,
just wondering, like, because when I used to do Reiki, I could feel extra spirit people, souls in the room helping with the healing. And then the client would say, I felt an extra two sets of hands, but I know only
yes,
one person is in the room, which would be me and them. So I'm
exactly.
wondering in trance healing, is that the same thing? I've never had a
It
trance
is.
session. That's
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. You can absolutely can feel that happening too. Like I could have my hands and I'm blending with spirits, say around the head area, and they're like, "Oh, you're working on my stomach," and you're because their eyes are closed, and you're like, "No, I'm working on your head." That's because spirit is so absolutely that, and you definitely feel the power of the spirit world. You feel that the power and the presence of spirit. You feel that shift in the atmosphere. You feel them the spirit blending with you if it's a spirit doctor or another kind of healer in spirit too. And oh, and what I was saying with Reiki is a lot of times trance healing starts to just come naturally. They realize that they're holding their hands, in a specific position that they intended, and then it just moves over on its own. And spirit world has already been working in that capacity. So it's a beautiful blend of how the two can go together and how they can like work with each other too. So that's really fun too. So yeah, definitely, it's beautiful. There's a picture in one of Barbara Brennan's book that really illustrates what that looks like, because it shows the healer and then it shows the spirit people kind of coming in and blending in all of the beautiful light, and to get to see like what that looks like too. So it's very magical. It's beautiful. Healing is so beautiful.
It is. I like trying different healers, like going to different
Hmm.
healers. Uh, and somebody just recommended a new healer that I'm going to go see Friday. So I'm really excited about that because I find with each healing session that I get from different healers, different things happen in the sessions. Yeah.
Yeah.
I find that super fascinating. So I do have a question because I noticed your background
Hmm.
is angels, which is
Hmm.
so beautiful. So do you work with the angelic realm too?
I can connect with the angelic realm. I feel very like kind of like bonded with that frequency or that essence, you could say, very much so. I guess my specialty or the bulk of my connections are, connecting with people's loved ones or their guides, but angels absolutely can come in and give messages as well. And that's a beautiful gift too. So I kind of do it all. I'm a multi-medium,
I
jack
love,
of all, jack of all trades of medium.
well, there's so many beautiful things to do in mediumship. And like you said in the beginning, there's that buffet. I feel like you get so excited And I don't think there's anything wrong with trying everything to find out like what works for
Mhm.
you. Maybe it all works for you, or
Yeah.
maybe you have a favorite. Do you have a favorite? Like from all of the things that you do, because you do a lot. Is there one specific that is just like your passion, or they're all
I,
equally the same?
yeah, it's all pretty close. It might change on a different day. I mean, I really do. I love doing it all. I really do. I light up when I get to do platform mediumship. I light up when I get to teach classes. I light up when I'm speaking, so I know I'm doing my purpose and what I was intended to do here with that part of my spirit too. And so it's all very meaningful too. I did know from the beginning that I wanted to do platform mediumship. Like I just saw them and I'm like, I want to be like that. I want to do that. And so it's so exciting to see years later, like I got that. I did that.
Yeah.
And I knew I wanted to kind of work in some kind of speaking capacity in a spiritual nature, and I'm doing that too. So that came to fruition as well. Um, I didn't know like I was going to host my show. Like that was a surprise. They kept that one secret from me. I didn't know I was going to do that. So that was a first, but I love doing it all. So and I feel like Maria, like spirit kind of uses us too. Like these are also vehicles, like what the
Yeah.
gifts, the gifts itself are beautiful. The gift of healing, the gift of connecting with a loved one and bringing that kind of connection, the gift of sharing awareness. Um, but spirit also has, I feel like they have another purpose too, which is trying to uplift people and trying to help with the awakening and the ascension, and by planting seeds of inspiration, certain words that help to remind people, spark that memory kind of who they also are in addition to their personality. And so, and I realized this recently that even when I was little, I had this kind of gift of helping to see people's potential. And I would just say things sort of off the cuff to people, like I must have moved into my higher self a bit, and I would kind of say things off the cuff of somebody, of what was potential in them, of what they were good at, and they would come back and they'd be like, "Oh, thank you," and I realized that they were using me for that back then when I was a kid, and in a teenager even too. And now I'm like, oh, now the dots are all connecting. Like that's part of the purpose, to remind people of their spirit, to remind people of their potential, of what's in them that they might not be fully connected to yet. And like, what an extra gift that is.
That
So
is
that's a big wow.
I love that. That is so true. I find for myself, even when I go for readings, like mediumship readings, and then there'll be a message, and there will be something so profound at times within the message where I kind of look and I'm like, "Wow, I didn't know that," or that came out of nowhere. But then when I go and reflect upon it, it's like I needed to hear that. And spirits always, I find all of these synchronicities are what's happening. And sometimes when we're in the middle of the thick of it and you can't figure it out, but once you come out the other end, you're like, oh, now I understand why that all needed to happen that way. So I find that very interesting because I noticed for myself, like this year, I feel like I'm in the year of the quiet, which is weird. Because last year I was in the busy mode and it was very loud
Mhm.
and readings and psychic fairs. And this year, like even on Saturday, I did a quiet retreat, a Sufi retreat, but it was mostly like there was prayers, but it was quiet. And it was like my soul was craving the quiet. Do you find like you have
Mhm.
themes within your own life as you're going on these
Yeah.
journeys, or does it go by the year? Because now I'm noticing like last year was a loud year, this year's a quiet year.
Yeah, that is very, very true. I definitely can agree with you on that. And things tend to go in cycles. I have so much fun when just like my little memories pop up in Facebook of stuff I channeled like 2, 3, 4 years ago and like wrote and made a post out of. And And then I read it and I'm like, well, that just happened again. Like, wow, like that information is just as valuable, like not just, overall, but like right now, like this was a cycle that came forth again. And cycles are always bringing more of the same lesson. So it's not like anything's gone wrong. It's just going deeper. So it's like, well, let's try this a different way and go deeper with it too. Right. And then you see like how all the dots connect too. And this year I've noticed there's been a lot of like revisiting the past. Is there a way, like if you have an opportunity to do it again or do it differently, how would you do it this time? So kind of that kind of energy has been very present too. So it's been a very interesting year, and interesting things of like bringing things kind of like full circle, and revisiting, revamping, and then moving into the next chapter, so to speak, of your story. So you're right on, you're spot on with that.
I just noticed it for my life, so I'm curious, like, oh, is everybody else
Yeah,
going through this? Because I find like some friends,
yeah,
I'm like, wait, you're like, seems pretty much you're doing the same thing year after year, but maybe there is change in there. I'm just not aware of it. So they would be aware of it on a deeper level. So I always find that
yeah.
interesting. So I am curious if somebody's like brand new to this and they don't know where to start, what would you recommend?
Oh, that is a really beautiful, perfect question. um I would recommend that you can go at your own pace, and you don't have to be in a hurry, and you're never too old to start this work. Sometimes a lot of women start, like in their 40s, when their kids are grown up and things like that, and they think, oh, I should have done this in my 20s. It's like, no, you did it when you're supposed to do it. So you don't have to rush. You can take time to let things marinate. You can try different teachers, find your tribe. um, Really like learning to sit in the power, which is just kind of a learning to kind of expand your energy so that you can actually feel yourself, feel your own spiritual power. I like to use the word power more than energy, but in the mediumship world, we call it sitting in the power, because it's kind of beyond energy. There's an essence to it, right? So learning to feel your own power, learning to blend with the power of spirit world and move with it and learn it. And that's just a practice that you can do every day at home. It doesn't cost anything to do, and that gives you time with spirit. You can always come to one of my meditations, because we sit in the power too. Sometimes the group effort's fun as well, but and then learn to trust yourself and to trust the spirit world too. Sometimes people come in with a lot of fear, and so I would say find people that don't put more fear into you, because spirit is about love, and there's a lot of misunderstandings out there that could be cleared up with the the proper teachings and the proper explanations too. So I try not to put more fear out there. I try to put understanding and more love out there too, as well. So I think that would be a good place to start, or just learning how to breathe, taking some time just to go
Yes,
outside and connect with nature, because spirit's everywhere. It's in the trees, it's in the air, it's in the sky and the birds, it's in you, you know? So just kind
I
of
like
learning
that.
yeah,
When you said
keep it
learn,
simple.
breathe, because I don't know if you remember this back in the day when you're learning mediumship and they put you in a breakout room to do a reading with somebody, like I would stop
Mhm.
breathing because I'd be like, oh my God, what am I gonna say? And the fear would
Yeah,
come in, and then you have to relax yourself to breathe, just like you said, to then surrender
yeah,
to be able to do the reading and blend with spirit.
yeah. And that's all normal too, and in the beginning of developing mediumship, there's a lot of like pressure we put on ourselves to be perfect, to get it right. We want to make the spirit world happy. We want to make the sitter happy. We want to make the teacher happy. We want to feel good about ourselves, and that's a lot of pressure too. And so sometimes, and well, I should say, most or all of the time, development is not just about improving your mediumship. It's about evolving yourself. It's about what they call spiritualizing the self. So learning to be okay to not get it right while you're developing and practicing. And even when you're a professional medium, you're not going to get it right all the time. Something's going to maybe not fit through your awareness correctly, or you're going to interpret it wrong, or word it wrong, and you're going to get a no. And that's okay. It's not the end of the world. It doesn't make you a failure or a bad person, but that's cultural conditioning, right? And so the process of mediumship and healing and psychic development will help to heal a lot of that. It will help to kind of unravel all of that kind of programming and perfectionistic things, over time. Probably go through a spiritual awakening if you haven't already, and that's a whole nother that's a whole nother topic. But yeah, you'll learn to be okay with the no's after a while. Like, at first they hurt your feelings, but then you just learn to be okay with a no, or I didn't get that right, or I got nothing. But the pressure is what's so hard. So if there's anything that gets in the way, it's just the pressure we put on ourselves to try to let that go and just hand it over to spirit. And it's not all about you, like, having to get it perfect. It's like a partnership. And then you go, oh, I don't have to do everything. It's not all my responsibility. And it's like, no, just hand it over to spirit world. They told me that I had somebody in trance come in and, let me know when you're out doing this work, and you're in front of a lot of people, please just hand it over to us. Because they knew that I could be scared or nervous and things like that. So I got that advice from spirit. So that would be something to pass that just, I'm here. Use me as a channel. I'm here. Coming with an open heart. What more would they ask for? That's it.
That's true. I remember, thank you for that, because I do that to myself. And I know people that are listening or watching, I'm going to bet a lot of you do it to yourselves. We put so much pressure on ourselves. And I remember one mentor a few years ago, and somebody was talking about pressure, and he's like, listen, he was so funny. He's like, what other people think of you is none of your business. So let go of that pressure. And I was like, oh, okay, I really like that. But you also said something that I feel is really important to talk about, because I had this conversation last week with somebody, and they're like, I got my mediumship abilities. I don't know. They were aware of spirit like in their 20s, and they kind of pushed it to the side, went away, had families, went corporate, and then like 20 years later came back to it. And then it was weird, because then there was the regret of, if only I did, if only I followed spirit when I was 20. So what do you say to people like that? Because I find I'm coming in contact with more people. We're having those conversations of where they feel bad that they didn't pursue it. But I'm like, don't feel bad. It wasn't meant to be back then.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. It wasn't meant to be, or it would have been, right? Nothing has gone wrong. So that's just an experience, that sort of experience of like, what if I had done it this way? Just think of that, like just an experience of an emotion, that's all that is. It doesn't make it true. That makes sense too. Because if this work is a calling from spirit, right? And from your own soul. So if you were meant to do it when you were younger, everything would have lined up for you. Your life would have been rearranged without your without your being able to control to do anything about it. Your life would have been rearranged to make it possible for that to happen. With big things like that, like you don't get to mess with like your destiny with stuff like that. So yeah, nothing's gone wrong. And those were, you could say, like soul contracts, or things that were meant to happen, experiences that were meant to happen too. And I would say also, you've got plenty of good years ahead of you to help a whole lot of people. So
Is so true. So thank you for that. And I hope those that are listening to this, that it brings peace to your heart, that you let go of that and know you're exactly where you are meant to be. And then I also find those life experiences that you had will be helpful in your readings. They will.
very true.
Yes.
Yeah, no, you're spot on. You're spot on. And that's what they draw upon to use you for, as far as the evidence is concerned, is what you know. So like, I always love to talk about Albert Best, who's a very well pioneer medium back in the 1900s. He was a postman who became a medium. So of course, what did spirit give him to work with? Names and addresses, right? Because that's what he was good with. So somehow your life experiences will all help you, because spirit will be able to draw on all of those memories, all of those understandings, all of those symbols, and to work with you. And then you can continue to keep having new experiences, keep studying different things or learning about new things, going to new places, trying new things to, keep that. And for one thing, it's fun, it's good for your soul, we're trying new things, right? But it also is going to give the spirit world more to work with, like more evidence to work with too. And all those life experiences give you maturity, they give you a connection to humanity, they give you things that don't have a price tag, and they help to build that within you, so the spirit can work with that too. So nothing's gone wrong. So
I
yeah,
think
whew, let's just take all that off.
yes, take it off. So everybody listening to this,
Yeah.
don't stress. You're exactly where you're meant to. But I find it so interesting that I kept meeting people all last week, and that was like the theme of conversation last week, which I thought was super interesting. Then there was another conversation, and I think I just forgot what I was going to say. Um, oh, this is what I was going to say, because I've had this conversation too in the past couple of weeks, where people will go and learn mediumship, but then they think they have to hang up a shingle and do readings, but spirit's actually using them, opening them up so they can help people in different ways without doing formal readings.
Yeah, that's very true too. Not every person who develops their mediumship becomes a working medium too. It could just be an experience to open them up to their own soul. And like you said, to open up their intuition so that they can help people in different ways, because they're very empathic. So it opens up that awareness. So people who are empaths are able to tune into other people's, emotions and energy, and kind of feel into what they need. And it's an extra gift that they have, really, because you can do a lot with that information. You can be kind and helpful and healing with that too. But you could be in a lot of different kinds of jobs that may not be spiritually inclined, but to know what people need. So it gives you that like added edge too, right? And so not everybody will advance to like doing readings, and nor should they if they've just taken a weekend workshop, because it's a process of, you don't have to develop your whole life, you don't have to heal every trauma in your whole memory system or anything like that. But a weekend workshop is probably not enough to hang up a sign and know how to handle different. It's a big responsibility working with spirit world, and know how to handle the very sensitive type of readings that you will likely get at some point too. So give yourself time, because spirit will change you with it. You'll transform, you'll go through an awakening, lots of transformation, and that's only going to build in your connection. But they may take you out for a while just to do that. They may say no classes for a while, or you're not working for a month, because it's time for more, time to go back in the cocoon and go through the metamorphosis again.
Oh, I like that. The cocoon. I find when I'm in the cocoon, I'm like, when am I getting out? I used to get so impatient, and now I'm just like, okay, we're back in the cocoon. I don't care anymore how long we're there, when we're coming out. I'm now in this space of I'm okay with it. But in the beginning, I was not okay with it. I will be honest. I was like, when's
Yeah,
it over? When's it over?
yeah,
So
I know,
it's
right?
so I am curious with people that have children or young teens that have a stronger intuition, what would you recommend for them?
um okay, great question. To First thing, if you're a parent of a child who's really intuitive, to just really nurture that and accept it. I would say not push them to develop it any sooner than they want to or need to. But I feel like the acceptance of it and the holding space for it is really important, and to believe them when they feel something too, and kind of celebrate those little wins that they have as well too. Um, I think if you spot that, like in your child, like just like learning to feel energy is a great start too. So, for instance, go to a store or go to a place where there's a lot of stores and like, well, what does this place feel like? And how does the back of this place versus the front of this place feel like to you? So learning to kind of feel into the air, into the energy, because that will help to build your clairsentience and your awareness, right? Um, and kind of like you would if you were tasting, wine or food or something, and you cleanse your palate afterwards, you can just say, just do a little shake off, and then you move into the next place so that you're kind of like reset to feel into that, that new space. You can do it in your home, you can do it outdoors. So just kind of learning to tune into energy and feel into that too, is kind of a fun exercise. And that will help to just kind of build that awareness too. So that's a really good start. And then just like learning to feel yourself too. People who are like artists, musicians, and actors and athletes, they know about the flow, they know about the zone, they're in the power when they're in those spaces. They move into a very focused awareness, which is what we would call the power. It's pretty much the same thing, different rainbow, right? Different color in the rainbow, right? So those are things you can also do, because the mediumship and intuition happens in that space of the imagination, the creative part of you too. So exercise is great because you build that connection with your body. So you learn to feel your own energy. Who are you? You learn to feel your energy versus somebody else's, right? So I love being in the physical for that too, but then also anything playful and creative, singing, music, different kinds of art, painting, drawing, play, whatever like suits your fancy that keeps that space of the imagination flowing, is really helpful. Learning in different ways, not just through visually, but auditorily and kinetically, so that you're building all of the different kinds of senses. Going out in nature, staring at flowers and all of the details and noticing those things. These are things we can do as adults too, but they're very fun for kids.
They sound like fun.
Yeah, exactly.
But I like the way you said, how did you say, like, not to make it fearful, just be like, yeah, it is who you are, and just holding that space and letting
Yeah.
it go wherever it goes. Maybe it goes into mediumship and maybe it doesn't. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
it just is a part of their career path. Like I know a girl that is, well, she grew up and now she's a doctor, but her mediumistic abilities, like she doesn't do readings, but her intuitive abilities of just the way she grew up, like being very in tune with that, has helped her to be an exceptional doctor. So yeah, just
Yeah.
allowing people to tune into their creativity and just playing with your inner child. Just have fun. Because I find we grow up and we just get so serious in our training. It's like, can we have fun?
Very true. Yeah, no, it's true. We lose the fun of it. We lose the fun of being a medium if we're so serious all the time. And I find that in my classes that I teach, Spirit's giving me like things that will make people kind of laugh, like they're trying to bring, healing to the inner child and bring that part out, because that's your spirit. That's like that pure essence of you, is that playful inner child, which you know culturally tells us we're not supposed to be like that. We're supposed to be all responsible and mature and in control of all of your emotions and be like a robot all the time. And too, like, well, how is that any fun? You only have this one life as you. When do you get to enjoy it? You
Oh,
know?
I love that. So laugh as much as you can, play, paint,
Yes.
listen to music. I find
Yes.
I'm listening more and more to music now. So I notice my clear audience is coming in more, and that's all just being spirit guided because I'm paying attention to the words, which I never did, because before it would just be like white noise in the background. And now spirit's like, no, you're going to listen to the words and you're going to feel every sound and note. And it's like,
Mhm.
oh, and I have
Yes, yes,
no
yes.
music background. I'm just like going with the flow. So within your mediumship, like how does your mediumship work? Are you more clairaudience, claircognizance? Has it changed over the years for yourself?
Yeah. Yeah, and I love what you said about music, because that's how it is for me too. And you can get different stories with the same song. You can listen to the same set of words on different times. and your awareness will tell you a different story with that, with the same lyrics, which is fascinating when that starts to happen. And it happens to a lot of different people, because music really is like a language of the spirit too.
Yeah.
And it evokes a lot of, emotional experiences for you and your soul. That's why we like listening to sad songs, because somehow it's very cathartic, like, why do I like listening to this sad song? Am I supposed to be happy all the time? Your soul is very happy experiencing sadness, because it's an experience it wants to have. It doesn't judge it. But yeah, I would say, like, I'm probably mainly clairsentient is probably my strongest one, but I use all of them now. In the beginning, I was very visual. I was very clairvoyant in the beginning, and then they kind of turned that off. It was like spirit turned off the switch and then turned on my clair sentience, which is the feeling. And I had to learn to use that, and I felt like I was starting all over again. I didn't know what to do with it, and that was a little bit of a stress point there. And then I started getting it. Claircognizantly. So that was a different experience that I had to adapt to as well and get used to that. So they will change it on you. They might even do it while you're like working in public or standing in front of a group, and like you're like, there's no, there's nothing you can do about it except adapt and go with it and see what you learn from the experience. They'll change how they work with you, in public demonstrations, like you're expecting it to go this way because that's how it's gone for the last 10. And they're like, oh no, we're gonna switch it up on you and do this. One people I go, this is how it works, but I never know if they're gonna change it on me. So now I use all of them, and they just all flow together. So I'm not even paying really too much attention of all of that. I'm just rolling with it because I'm feeling into it while I'm seeing it, while I'm hearing it. I do hear too, the clairaudience came in too, and the music will help with that quite a bit too, is listening to music and tuning into the sounds and all of the different parts of it too. Um, and um, so now they all work together like a package for
Yeah.
me, but it took time. That didn't happen overnight.
But it's, you know what you reminded me of? And I will see mediums do this, and I'll see professional mediums that, I paid tickets to go see them on platform and that. And they will be like, I've never had spirit come through this way. And they'll even take a moment, and we're watching, we're like, oh, that's kind of cool, because they're trying to figure it out, because spirit's working with them differently. And they've been doing it for years, which I find super interesting. And then when you were talking about the sadness and the music, I remember for my own experience, because it was very clairsentient, and then I went through a difficult time in my life, and I shut down that clair, and I was like, I ain't working with the clair. And then I had a mentor. He's like, I need you to feel, Marie. I was like, I ain't feeling. I'm not feeling. You can't make me feel. Very stubborn that way. It was too much. I didn't want to feel. And then he said something like that helped me so much in my mediumship, because he's like, I want you to listen to a sad song for 15 minutes a day by yourself. I just want you to feel the sadness. And then when I started doing that, then the clairsentience started coming up, but I was in control of the feeling, the sad feeling coming up, because I think too, what people
Yeah.
may think is sometimes, oh, we're clairsentients, we're always happy, but clairsentient, you're feeling everything. You're feeling the sad, the happy, the anger, the disappointment, the whatever, but there's all those emotions. So I always find that super fascinating, actually, with all the clairs, how they work and how they're stronger at one point in your life. And then they kind of like, then spirit brings out another clair, and then that clair gets quiet for a bit, and then that other clair comes back. Because I was
Hmm.
like, yeah, I'm good with my mediumship. I don't need to feel anymore. I'm all clear cognizance. Clear audience. I don't need to. And my teacher's like, no, it ain't gonna work. I was like, okay.
Yeah. The emotional experience is just so beautiful though too, and it's healing feeling all the different emotions, because we learn just because a feeling come in through spirit, like we just let it go and let the next piece of information come out, right? And so we learn not to attach to it. So that's helpful for our own experiences too. And we're open channels, so we're going to feel what the collective is feeling. We're going to feel what our friends are feeling, and without knowing exactly what it is or why. And that's all okay. Like that's just that's part of it. But when we're doing a mediumship reading and we're tuning into the emotional experience that's happening, like there's so much beauty in that too. It's just, there's a miracle in every connection. And when you get to bring that kind of healing, or um the essence of a loved one, where somebody's like eyes are tearing up, and we're feeling that love so incredibly. And maybe it is an apology, or looking into a difficult passing or something, but how loved they felt and cared they felt, during that time, like to bring all of that forward. Like there's beauty in that too. There's dignity and elegance and grace to it also.
Oh, that is beautiful. I will say one of my favorite things to do is to watch mediums do platform online or in person. But just like you said, to get caught in the story, their story, whatever that emotion is, and we're like, we can feel the love that the medium is bringing through their loved one. We cry. I always bring Kleenex when I go to a demonstration. Friends like, what's a Kleenex for? I go, I know I'm gonna cry. I know the medium's gonna bring in emotion. We're gonna all feel it, and we're gonna feel joy. And it's such a beautiful story. The medium tells a story of your loved one, which is so beautiful. So do you teach mediumship then?
Yeah, I do. I teach workshops and I run development circles as well. I really enjoy doing it too. That lights me up too. So I like doing that too. So I will be having some of that coming up as well. I've got workshops I'm working on, and then I do development circles, the morning ones and some evening ones. And they're a lot of fun. We're just like a little family, and we split up into rooms and practice one-on-one, or we work as a group. We do healing at the end. So those are fun too. So I love teaching. I really do.
Yeah, I had to ask because you were lighting up as you were talking about that. I
Mhm.
was like, I think she teaches it.
Mhm.
I want to say thank you so much for being with us for this time and for sharing. And is there anything you would like to share that's coming up for you, for events that are coming up, or do you want me just to send people to your website?
Yeah, people can always just go to my website and sign up for my newsletter, and that's where I just keep them updated on all the events that I'm working on too. You can follow me, on Facebook and Instagram too, because there are some things I post there that aren't on my website, like if I'm, demonstrating for a church or something like that, if they wanted to join in on that too. I will be putting some workshops. I know I've got platform already in the works. I'm going to be doing a mediumship workshop soon as well. I'll do a trance healing workshop. I teach that as well. So a lot of fun things coming up. My Sunday services are every 2 weeks too. So I keep pretty busy, and I do one-on-ones. But yeah, my website, you can find them from my newsletter. I don't send them out every day, so you won't get bombarded with them.
See, that's good. So your website is mediumjenniferrose.com. And on
Yes.
Facebook, you're at Medium Jennifer Rose. Instagram, you're at Jennifer Rose Medium. So, and I will have
Hmm.
all those links clickable for you guys on YouTube and on Apple on the podcast for you guys to click and go directly to your website and get connected with you. And most importantly, everybody, just have fun. Just have fun and explore different, I don't know, different things in the mediumship world and just have fun with
Yeah,
that.
it is. It's truly a magical place to be in. It's dedication, it's responsibility, but it's also like a place of wonder, that to reconnect with your spirit in that way. And you will see what spirit can do as far as, phenomenon and connecting and synchronicities and all of the signs and symbols they give you, and the love that you're going to experience too. Like there's so much there. And definitely have fun. If we get so serious that we're not enjoying it anymore, like it's time to like just take a little step back and get in touch with that part of you, because tremendous amount of healing takes place when you reconnect with your inner child spirit, little fairy princess and superhero, and all of you, like find him and her again.
That
And
is
your
true. Just
your
have fun.
childish enthusiasm. Yes, yes. And um there's an Italian filmmaker I've quoted him many times, Federico Fellini, and he says, always remember your childish enthusiasm. It's one of the most important things to have, because that's that's where the magic in you is too. So please, yes, have fun. That must be our theme for today.
fun. Have fun. So with that, I'm going to say thank you so much and goodbye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you, Maria. Thank you.
Thank you.